Welcome to Business Today Television, and today we are joined by actress Kubbra Sait, who has also recently written her memoir titled The Open Book. Kubbra, I've learned today from your team that it was a day off, but I've been quite successful in getting you to this another paradigm of camera, which is the newsroom. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. I was so pleasantly taken aback to see so many of me like running in the background. There's so many of me.
Because we couldn't get you here, we thought we'll have that to fulfill.
Thank you, and that's very, very special. Thank you.
Kubbra, to start off with, I must tell you this, as a 26-year-old, I thoroughly enjoyed reading your book and to meet the candid Kubbra in pages. So how long did it take for you to complete this book, and what was the journey like while writing?
So a couple of things. One, I did not have a writer's block to begin with because I'm not like an official, certified writer. I mean, I actually didn't know I was an author until actually the book came out, to be honest, right? So I was actually having a lot of fun while doing this. And start to end, I think for me, the writing process was about 6 months.
Okay.
But I sat down and I wrote it across like 6 months through different phases. I was in India during the lockdown with myself. I was traveling. I was writing some of it while I was shooting for Foundation. So I think we got all of that together, but it took about 6 months.
Okay. Through the early chapters that I read, you had jumped a lot of careers and also countries. One is, of course, Dubai, that I prominently remember because of the number of times the stories were repeated throughout the chapters. And of course, all of them interrelated to what you are today. Now, this is a question from a very business point of view for my young audience. How did you manage your finances with the projects coming in, you relocating?
So every extra penny that I've ever earned in my life, for a very long time, I used to blow it up thinking it's pocket money. When I used to live in Dubai, I used to think that the way or the only way to be out there is to have expensive bags, expensive shoes, or whatever the next thing is to splurge on. So I would rarely ever save any money. But I think when I put my new career ahead of me and I had this so-called plan that I'm going to go ahead with, I think the most valuable advice that I got was, why don't you have a fund that you can start, save, so that you aren't dependent on anybody else and you can actually pursue this dream fulfill it. Like giving it a real chance of success, like giving it a real chance to succeed is you being financially independent in a new city. India is my country. I've lived here my entire life, but Bombay was a brand new city for me. So moving out of Dubai was like restarting all over again. So I think I had a plan. I had a very grand plan 12 years ago that I will have 10 lakhs in my bank account and that's when I'm going to start out. I wasn't able to meet my 10 lakh goal, but I'm very happy to report that even with 6 lakhs, I thought I would give myself 6 full months of, an unwavering chance in a new career, in a new city. And that's what really helped me. So I actually didn't really go the SIP way, but in my own head, it was SIPs, like park your money, save your money, so that you can live well, eat well, and not feel afraid about actually pursuing your dream. While all of us have this fantastic dream in our head, it's really important to know that you are working towards making that a reality. And let me be honest, for all those who say money isn't important, money is very important for you to do that.
Right, very interesting that you also mentioned about this fund kind of that you were aiming at. Now, a lot of youngsters, including us, for a good time, be it a job or a creative field, are not able to save money. And it's, of course, popularly among us millennials called that it's the survival money. Would you like to share an experience for the young audience on the money mantra that helped you keep going? I remember certain comparisons and analogy that your book mentions of the kind of photographers that you had to choose as per the money that you had.
Yeah, I think after a point, I started understanding the difference between good work and expensive work. And not necessarily that every good work comes with a very big, hefty check that you need to cut out for people. If you really, really want to work with somebody, then you use your negotiation skills to, like, come to a common place of understanding in terms of this works for me and this works for you. Because at the end of the day, it's a business deal, But I think in most cases, being an artist, I was able to collaborate with a few incredible people. Some of them were just beautiful human beings, even, who looked at me as someone was starting off and allowed me to, have that negotiation of sorts with them. It wasn't like there are people who favor their art over that check. And I think it's important to associate yourself with those people. I remember Munna being one of them. And I remember having Sonu Sood put in like a wonderful word for me, even then, saying, listen, she's somebody from Dubai and you must help her out. And, so I think when you do have your heart in the right place and you can share that dream with somebody, then the world is actually helpful to help you maneuver your dreams in that sense. And I don't think, like most people say that, how do I put this? I've realized that you tend to cut corners around certain things that you do because you think you aren't ready for it, or you think you don't have enough money for it. But sometimes having a good conversation allows you to overcome those barriers. But communication can be a first really important key, or a first important step towards you wanting to partner with the kind of people you want to work with, collaborate, associate, and move on. So yeah.
That's great. So I think you say that it's okay to one negotiate irrespective at what stage of career you are at, and second, the fact that you were responsible at a very early age, that you started thinking about your savings, which is very unlikely in today's times. Let me tell you that it's more of a day one salary, day one shopping agenda.
No, yeah, but I honestly think, what we do is we don't look at our money buckets very well, We look at, the things that are just expensive or unnecessary sometimes to indulge in. And I don't say indulging or splurging is bad. I do it and I'm guilty of it as well. But what I think is, when you know that you have an X amount coming into your account, it's really important to first look at what your expenses are, who you're responsible for. First and foremost, how responsible are you for yourself? So what amount of that check do you spend for rent? What amount of that do you spend for your food, for your other expenses? But more importantly, what do you keep away for a rainy day? What I've realized, at least being in the profession that I am in, there's no job that is ever going to get completed without me physically being there. So what happens when I am sick? What happens when I am unable to be there? What happens when I have more than one job? Because my greatest asset is time, and my greatest asset that I have, which does not multiply, is the fact that I have 30 days on a calendar, and when it's February, it's 28. So what I'm saying is that, what do you do about maximizing your time and the money that you make in that time? How much of it can you save and put it aside for that dream that you want to chase, for that, for that goal that you want to accomplish? I think it's really important for you to think bigger than just the paycheck that arrives. And you don't have to start big, because I know I didn't, but start small. But no matter at what stage of your career it is really important that you start looking at saving, because it goes a long way. Like, saving money goes a long way.
Well, that's the money mantra coming from Kubbra Sait. Saving goes a long way. Jumping on to a more, I think, broader question, Kubbra. Bollywood is the world's largest movie producing machine, with a total turnover of close to 200 billion rupees. But on a global level, Hollywood quite takes the cake. Can this ever be reversed, or do you think it's underway?
I mean, there is nothing that is next to impossible. Yeah, we are quite a large chunk. I mean, the kind of turnovers that today the Indian film business is making is outstanding. I mean, look at a Bahubali going across shores. It's not a Bollywood film; it's an Indian film to be proud of. When a film like Pushpa or RRR crosses borders and creates like a following of sorts, you know that there is no limit for us to dream. The idea is, are we willing to kind of invest the money in the performances, in the actors, in the equipment, in the technology that it requires to actually expand yourself and create that kind of cinema that is loved, appreciated, respected, and accepted across the world. I mean, the reason why I think the West is such a huge market is because they create content that is consumed the world over, not just in America, not just in the pockets. Similarly, I think the kind of films that we are making and the kind of global access we are receiving through OTT platforms, perhaps, is allowing our cinema, allowing our stories to cross borders, which allows us to dream bigger, create more memorable stories. And I think it's, I mean, at the end of the day, what you sow is what you will reap. So at the end of the day, if we make good films, the outcome of those films will also be big in terms of numbers. So I feel we are a little too biased when it comes to, you know, the kind of cinema we make in Hindi vis-a-vis the other languages. You know, we're like now evolving as an audience to like accept more conversations around what's a good film, what's a film that I watched just to pass my time, and I had 2 hours, so let me enjoy it. You know, I think when we look at creativity, commerce, but at the same time, when we look at how do we build our culture around working with each other, I think we are in a good space. We've got a way to go. But I can tell you that, you know, I was talking to a friend the other day and I said, oh my God, I'm so grateful that I came in to India, to Mumbai, to pursue this dream at 27 when perhaps I would have been written off. But the last 10 years have been such an evolution for actors, at least it has been for me. The last 4-5 years have been incredible for me as an actor. And I think that scope of performances, that scope of stories that we tell, those kind of characters that we want to play are just evolving by the minute. And if we focus on the goods, on the good points, then I think we've got a long way to go. And I'm just very happy to be a part of this wave that is rising.
That's great, Kubbra. I think more than a decade with the dates that you have indicated. But one last question, and that's coming back to Open Book. A lot of secrets were spilled by you, and I'd say that's courageous and inspiring. How did people back home take this, especially your mother?
Oh, my mom asked me if I've healed. That is going to be a takeaway for me for a very, very long time. I thought it was a very generous question to ask, and I started weeping almost instantly. I said, oh my God, I never thought you'll ever ask me this question. So it was really heartwarming. But honestly, when I was writing this book, I was not afraid of the consequences because it wasn't about putting anyone under the bus or putting anyone on a pedestal. It was about speaking my truth, and I'm responsible for it and no one else is. So I think more than me looking for validation or acceptance or a realization from the people who are closest to me, from my existence to the career that I've had, I think it was important for me to not judge myself. It was important for me to look at myself with forgiveness, look at myself with kindness and say, it's okay. What happened. It happened to me. It could have happened to many other people. But if I own my truth, then I'm able to forge a new future for myself without baggage. So I think it was an act of just shedding everything behind. And as you said, secrets, well, now there aren't any, are they?
But there's a lot more to come up. Am I right? I mean, the journey doesn't end here. I know there were a lot of stories, a lot of important lessons that you've learned throughout your journey that you were courageous enough to write, but the road keeps going ahead.
Absolutely. You know, it's really funny because on the 20th of June, I hurt myself on a work accident. And I went to the hospital, and the first thing that my friends and my producer said is, "See, you wrote the book too early. You missed out on a chapter."
Oh.
So I think in that sense, we've got a very, very long way to go. I laugh and joke and I say that the average lifespan is 80 and I'm on my 39th year. So, hey, I'm like, hit my 50, like my half a century mark. So let's just go ahead, and try to live the rest of the life that I am granted to live on this earth with absolute fervor, the candor that, I write my stories with, and probably towards the end of my innings, there will be a summation of the life that I fully led. Who knows?
Thank you very much, Kubbra, for talking to us and giving your time on Business Today Television and being this candid.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.